My name is Joy Hamilton, and I'm here at the University of Minnesota East Bank campus to talk to you about a topic that all Minnesotans know and love: water. Water has been a hot topic in the news this past year. Between the drought in California and the mining spill in Colorado, water is coming to the forefront of U.S. discourse as climate change continues to pose new challenges to our water sustainability. In Minnesota, or the land of lakes, water is plenty, and that's not even something I have to tell you about. But just to give you some numbers, there's more than 69,000 miles of rivers and streams in Minnesota. That's about 24 round trips from Minneapolis to Norway. And that's not even including lakes. There's 10+ acres of lakes in Minnesota, which is about 7.5 new Viking stadiums worth of surface area. So with all this water, our biggest challenge here is pollutants and how that makes its way into our water streams. There's two different types of pollutants that can affect waterways. The first is direct, and as that name implies, it's a direct contamination of waterways. What happened this past summer in Colorado is a great example of this. When the EPA was inspecting a mine in Colorado, they spilled estimates of 1 to 3 million gallons of toxic mine waste directly into the Nemus River. The second type of pollutants is called indirect. This can come from the atmosphere or from the ground, and it's something that's typically invisible to the eye, but something that's incredibly challenging in Minnesota, considering how many rivers and streams we have. For the talk today, I'm going to focus on the second type of contaminant, indirect. In Minnesota, we see an average of 30 inches of annual rain. So what happens after it rains? Something we don't think about a lot. In urban areas, such as here on the East Bank campus, something called urban runoff occurs. Look around at the material here. There's a sidewalk, pavement, and non-native grass. These type of surfaces are considered impervious, which means the water isn't able to filter into the ground. Instead, these urban surfaces create a type of urban water slide that carries all of the rain directly into the watershed area, such as the Mississippi River. So what can we do about this to make, as far as urbanization, to protect our waterways from these pollutants? One of these things is considered a rain garden, which I'm standing in front of right now. A rain garden is a shallow depression in the ground that's designed to capture rainwater and let the soil naturally filter it into the ground to replenish groundwater. Whereas concrete, such as driveways, sidewalks, other areas, carry those contaminants directly into the river, rain gardens capture the water and filter it naturally within 48 hours. These protect our lakes from a bunch of different contaminants, such as road salts, leaked oil, pet waste, and even fertilizer from our lawns. Think about just on campus right now how many contaminants are on the ground. If it were to rain right now, I can see right now that there would be cigarette butts and even plastic bags that would make their way into the Mississippi. Even think about road salts. They're more dangerous than just the danger they pose to ruining your shoes in the winter in Minnesota. They also contain salt, and in that salt there's chloride. Just 1 teaspoon of salt in our water can permanently damage 5 gallons of water. So here, let's look a little bit more at the rain garden at the University of Minnesota campus. This was installed in the spring of 2014 for Mark Peddlety's environmental communication class. Right now it's in full bloom. When we started, all of these plants were incredibly small, and now they've grown to be 5 or 6 feet, and some of them will come to be 12 feet. Now, what's unique about a rain garden is that all the plants within it are native to Minnesota. Why that's important is because native plants have extremely long root systems, which act as pipes that funnel the water into the ground. My favorite native plant in this rain garden is a prairie smoke. It was in bloom in the spring and not so much now, but when you look at it, it actually looks like there's smoke coming off of the inside of the flower. This is a cool plant for a lot of reasons, but one of them is that Native Americans who were in the Minnesota area used to boil the prairie smoke down and use it for sore throats and also to apply to open wounds. This rain garden is also in a very significant location. Right now I'm in front of Ralph Rapson Hall, which houses the Department of Landscape Architecture. Why this is significant is rain gardens really challenge us to take a different approach to what we consider a beautiful landscape. Everywhere else on the East Bank campus is incredibly manicured. There's lots of lawns, landscaping that all are non-native and that create those urban runoff water slides that I was talking about earlier. This is a different type of beauty, but it's one that serves a better purpose for our waterways. it also challenges us to think what the purpose of public lands are. Do we want them to be for recreation, for other uses, for beauty, or do we even want them to help us filter this water, the rainwater? So it takes an active re-articulation on an individual level as well as a community level to think about what we want our public spaces to look like and what purpose we want them to serve. This also is something that global water activist Vandana Shiva might consider moving towards a water culture. She talks a lot about how we need to consider water being a bigger part of a cycle rather than what we just get out of the tap. So we need to actively pay attention to what happens to water before it rains, after it rains, and where it goes. She even asks us to think about how 70% of our bodies contain water and how important that is in a larger water cycle. Rain gardens are just one small part of what we can do to protect our waterways, especially considering how climate change, urbanization, and human impact on this earth continues to threaten our water supplies. If you're interested in being able to help with rain gardens or even implement one on your own, go to metroblooms.org or bluethumb.org. Metro Blooms, or Blue Thumb, is a local rain garden organization. They helped us implement this rain garden on the campus, and they implement them all over the St. Paul and Minneapolis area. You don't even have to be a landowner to get involved with them. You can volunteer, and you can also support legislative measures that continue to allow public areas to transform into rain gardens that filter our water naturally so that we don't get those contaminants and toxins in the Mississippi. So keep an eye out when you're around St. Paul and Minneapolis. Look for these rain gardens. They're all over the place. And now that you've seen what one looks like, keep your eye open for them all over the campus. Thanks.